Is trading dead in 2024? We've been consistently seeing slimmer and slimmer margins on trades, making it very hard to consistently trade profitably, as well as Buff163 just removed the option to sell on their platform for anyone that's not in China. This site had the most active users and the most people trading on it by a mile, and it was the benchmark for pricing on every single item in the game. And so now it's going to be harder to trade than any time we've ever seen. And so in this video, I want to cover a realistic view on what this means for traders and what the future of trading will most likely look like. But we'll get into it right after a word from today's sponsor. SkinsMonkey is an automated trading bot that's perfect if you want to swap out your skins fast and safely. They've got plenty of filters and plenty of items to choose from, so once you've found something that you like, make sure to enter my code SPAGHETTI and you'll get cash back up to $5 on a $100 trade, as well as a 35% deposit bonus, which is 5% more than regular, with code SPAGHETTI. But if you refuse to spend any money, go to the freebies section and they run giveaways there all the time, so it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you to SkinsMonkey for sponsoring this video. Alright, so there's really only 3 problems that I see with trading in 2024. For some background information, Buff163 just recently put in a feature that requires you to do real name verification before selling anything on their platform, which was never a thing before, and basically prevents anyone outside of China from selling items. And while this wasn't directly addressed by Buff163 themselves, many people just assumed it to be a bug, but the fact that it hasn't been fixed for this long, I would say it's pretty safe to assume that it's not going to be changed. And something I didn't realize when recording this video is that you can't even top up balances unless the account is tied to a Chinese ID, meaning we won't even be able to backdoor many skins unless you have contacts with Chinese people. So there's not much of a workaround basically. And so then the main problem that comes with that is that everyone else in the world besides China has to go find a different website to use. And obviously there's a ton of options, but if you're looking strictly on volume, CS Float is actually the biggest one right now, but it doesn't have all the features. You can't bulk buy cases, and so it's not going to be the primary one for investors. And so for now, we're kind of floating in a limbo before we fully decide on what's the best platform to use. And the problem with that is there could never be a platform just because we don't have enough people, which brings me to point number 2, which is the fact that the majority of the trader player base, or anyone that was buying skins on Buff163, was actually Chinese. Like, an overwhelming majority of people had Chinese Steam usernames. And the fact that the volume there is so incredibly high while having an actual barrier to entry for US and Canadian citizens, it goes to show how impactful the Chinese people were for buying skins. And so the problem isn't necessarily that we're losing a main site like Buff163. The problem is that we're losing such a large percentage of traders. And now basically everywhere outside of mainland China is going to be a completely split market. Since we'll have no selling power in controlling the prices, we can't even use it as a benchmark for other prices or trading, which inherently will increase the barrier to entry for trading to be so much greater, because now you have to be able to browse multiple websites and estimate your own value for a skin, then buy it for what you consider a deal and hope it is a deal. Way more complicated than just checking the Buff163 price. And then the final reason why trading in 2024 is such an incredibly tough market is because as time goes on, naturally we make slimmer and slimmer margins because we constantly want to undercut everyone else in the market. And so the more popularity gets, the harder it will naturally be to profit. And then the only way to get around that is to go into illiquid items. Generally that's going to be higher tier items or stuff that's just not as popular, but then you run the risk of people not wanting to buy it. And so then it makes it a lot more challenging than what I would recommend for most people to do, which is why I consider trading pretty much next to dead. Don't get me wrong, there's still people that are profiting tremendous amounts from trading, but that's because they have massive 100k inventories that are constantly flowing in trades. And so a 1% gain is big for them. But for us, if you're starting with anything looking to trade for items $100, I've looked at the margins for these things and it is so incredibly hard to make it work because so many people are also trying to do the same thing. So if I was in the position of starting up, I would only go with investing. I don't think trading is worth your time when you don't have enough capital. It's a pretty unfortunate truth, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun trading and still make a little bit of money on the side. I just don't think you should expect any kind of major results. And so for me, I would say the best recommendation would be to simply trade items that I want to play with. Then you can really understand the pricing of those items and what it generally floats around around so that you can get in and out and then always have something that you like looking at, while the majority of your money is going to be invested. And that'll most likely get you better returns. And then until the point where you're really good and can make consistently profitable trades, then I would take money out of investing for trading. But that's just me. I know people that have made trading work at a cheap price point, and I know a lot more people that have made it work at an expensive price point. So it's definitely possible. It's just not something I would recommend anymore for the average player. But let me know what you guys think. Maybe I just cheeks at trading and I don't even know. That's all though, and bye-bye.